Figure 4 Radio.
Lock it in.
Lock it in.
Lock it in. Lock it in.
Lock it in. Figure 4 Radio.
Hello everyone, welcome to Figure 4 Radio. It's the Mastermind, Ollie Spring. Today joined by, I'm not going to call you Big Kev, It's Alexander Hyde. Hey buddy.
Hey man, how are you?
I'm good mate, are you alright?
Yeah, good.
So, where to start? See, I usually kick off with like the standard questions, but I'm gonna mix it up a little bit today, I reckon. So yeah, last night, Wrestling League. Yeah. No. We're gonna talk about it because it's the most recent thing that you and I have been through that wasn't breakfast this morning.
That was some form of lunch, but we had for breakfast?
Yeah, brunch. It was actually about 11, actually, wasn't it? So it was 11s. We had 11s. We had 11s.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's what you eat around at 11. It's not breakfast. It's not lunch. It's about 11s.
Second breakfast.
Yeah. Did you have a breakfast before at Tejas?
No,
so that was
I just
first
usually
breakfast.
have more than one breakfast.
So your first breakfast was a burger and a burger and a half because I gave you some of mine.
Yeah,
good stuff.
And
yeah,
roasties.
so yeah. Oh, this is the best thing about going to that pub is like you go to the salad bar thing to get your chips, but there's roast potatoes lying there. Why wouldn't you grab some?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Why even have a salad bar? Let's just have a spud bar.
Everyone's going to start thinking about, he's Irish and it's potatoes and stuff.
If anyone else said that I would have said racist, but I said it, so
you
it's
did
fine.
it, so it's fine. It's acceptable. So last night Wrestling League was a good show for in the large part. For yourself, it wasn't quite what you're expecting, I guess. Dramatic pause.
Yeah.
So basically, the story is you've been working a story for a while, and for things outside of your control, the storyline was dropped. You're pretty pissed off, right? Has that happened?
Yeah, not.
Well, I guess.
Yeah, I am.
I mean, obviously, contextually, you put a lot of hard work in.
Yeah, I'm obviously not annoyed at. It's really hard the word right. Obviously not annoyed at Wrestling League.
Oh,
or
no.
Mark or
But I mean, ultimately, things can change, whether it's injuries or other things outside of your control. You were obviously planning for one thing and it got switched to another that wasn't as high profile as it could have been.
There was supposed to be a co-main event.
That was meant to include Mr. Hyde, and then, as I say, circumstances
against two Progress guys and two Rev Pro guys, unfortunately.
Yeah.
For other things, that didn't happen, which is completely understandable. So it's not necessarily.
No, so obviously, but like, so we saw you go out, and you were now part of another faction. You jumped, poor Gio. I could tell in your eyes that you were pissed off. That was almost a way for you to vent that anger into. Beating up a guy that's just coming back from an illness. Poor guy.
Not even coming back from an illness, bless him. He's still very ill.
Oh man.
So that's why I pummeled him.
So do you reckon that helped you in a way for that spot? Because I could tell there was like a new side to you on that when you're up there. Like, you're the biggest, like, cuddliest teddy bear ever, but you have that. you have this look.
There goes the secret.
I'm finding there's a way that I flick a switch, I say something that you don't necessarily like, and I try and push that button, and you give me that look, and I'm like, oh, I fucked up. So does that kind of help you, like?
It always has.
Funneling that emotion, as it were.
Yeah, definitely. I'm, for lack of a better word, passive aggressive. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not a very angry person in general, but when things get to that point where I can't deal with, I don't. This is getting really philosophical.
Oh, that's good.
So
straight in.
In regards to anger and stuff, I've always channeled it either through the gym or through wrestling.
You said earlier on, if when you're angry, you just lift stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not the waiters, because the buzz does 10 minutes early.
Your burger's going to be 10 minutes. Bench press the chef.
Yeah, he was just making us do laps between the counter and the chair. I was like, mate, if I wanted to burn off a burger, I wouldn't be eating a bloody burger. But yeah, it's something that I guess isn't technically a good thing, but at the same point, it's really helped me wrestling-wise, because I'm able to take all that and channel it to like a different character. And I'll do it at training, and like what you seen last night as well was not only obviously not just anger that circumstances changed. That's just general. That's But
Yeah,
at the
same.
same point, training under Travis Banks has been able... I can't speak today, mate.
Mate, well, I'm just as...
Yeah.
It was a long night. We can talk about the road trip as well.
Training under Trav has brought me to that different level where, like, being more intense, being more intent, being more physically aggressive in the sense of body language. So it was a combination of, like, generally being annoyed at everything, unfortunate circumstances, and just, I guess, progressing as a performer by training under right people and
So
doing
that's,
stuff
that's
like
Fight Club that you train in?
Yeah, Fight
and that's,
Club.
is that up in Wolves or
Wolverhampton.
Yeah, and fuck it, let's go right back to the start. So just from that,
let's start at the end
and then
go to the start.
we'll
Oh
give-
man, there's a movie about that. It was really good. Psychological thriller. His wife got murdered. He could only remember things for like a day.
No, part of tapping out.
Have you seen it?
Probably.
Oh.
Wife. And that as in.
He could only remember things for like a day, so he used to write it on his
Like
skin.
she. Oh no, I'm thinking of a completely different film. It's the same thing, where a woman can't remember who she is and who her husband is, and she makes videotapes and she watches her videotape every morning to remind her of who she is.
If
But either
anyone
way,
is listening to this, and I mean, like, if anyone is listening to this,
right now, can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Kaylee, can you hear the film? She's not listening to us. She's not listening. She's not listening.
If you know what the film is, either tweet me or comment under this or something, because that's going to wreck my head.
Yeah.
I'll
We'll
probably
find-
think about it at like 4 in the
Literally,
morning.
we'd be like
Mid-rumble.
counting down to number 30. It's like, is it going to be Daniel Bryan? Is it going to be Ricochet? Is it going to be 10, 9? Fuck, that's the film. And then we'll just miss it completely. Okay. So you're obviously an Irish boy.
Yeah, boy.
What? See, I've got so much I want to ask you. Actually, I'll do the basics. How did you first discover wrestling? So one day you didn't know what it was, and then next day you're sitting in front of a telly and it's on. Or how did you go from?
There's a bit of a tiny bit of a backstory. So I was born in France.
You said yeah.
Mentioned
So
this over breakfast.
Yes, this is.
And
I had no idea.
my mum.
You don't look French.
And I don't. I look like a caveman. My mum and I moved over to Armagh, the north of Ireland, just before my 4th birthday, where my granny was living, and where my mum was raised. And when mum moved back, obviously moving back in with her mum, my granny, she was trying to find her feet again. Taking whatever odd job she could find and working here, there, and everywhere. And she was going through a charity shop. We have a love for charity shops in our house. And
You work in charity shops?
yes,
Yeah.
my mum and stepdad co-run one, part of Drop-In Ministries back home. We've worked in charity shops for, I don't know, 13, 14 years now. So I was raised working in them and, shopping in them. And, so she just picked up a wrestling tape, and I think I was maybe 6 at the time.
Can you remember what the tape was?
Not in the slightest. I can't even
So it
remember
had
the
that-
story. I was told the
Yeah.
story before my granny's memory blew up. And she said, that'll keep Kevy entertained for 2 hours. And threw it on, and I was hooked. My granny told me a story. She can't remember it anymore, bless her. She told me the story of how I was glued to the TV and seeing the big men with long hair and beards and denim jackets. And apparently I turned to my granny and I said I'd do that one day.
And
At 6 or 7, and
flash forward and
yeah, here we are.
you weren't lying.
I wasn't.
No.
That was the thing. Obviously, I don't remember the story. I was 6 or 7. I barely remember last week.
Yeah.
What
happened yesterday?
9 hours of
Yeah,
driving.
680 miles.
I was only awake for 24 hours yesterday, or 23 hours.
So
sorry.
that's gone up a few. I was only awake for 30 hours yesterday. So next week it'll be like, oh man, I was up for like 70 hours straight.
Oh man, I went to the gym 8 days last week. It was tough stuff. But yeah, that was it.
Can you remember the first wrestling match that actually had an effect on you? Like, is there one that rings out in your mind as you saw that and you were like, fuck, I need to, as in like you actually remember it and think? Because this is the thing, the reason why everyone has their favourite wrestler, but everyone has a different first wrestler that they remember that is nowhere near their top 10. So mine, I always say, is like Tank Abbott. Because I remember him as a kid watching him on Channel 5 and his knockout punch. And he, as I say, he's not a guy that's going to make anyone's top 10 lists. But he was the first guy that I remember thinking, fuck, that guy's a mean son of a bitch. Like, have you got anyone that you kind of remember saying that actually kind of made you feel something for wrestling?
Obviously, being that age, it was the likes of Hulk Hogan and The Rock.
There's no way you're old enough to remember Hogan in the ring. Come on.
Oh, well, don't forget, like, that's why I was born in 95, so that's what, like 2001, 2002 is when I was watching wrestling.
95.
And
Jesus
like,
Christ.
Yeah, so I was a big fan of even Eddie Guerrero in the day. Obviously now he's still my favourite, still one of the best to ever lace up a pair of boots. But there was just something back in the day where I was like, man, this guy's class. And I wasn't even like, I loved the Hardys and the Dudleys and all the typical people that really refined that era that it was growing up in.
So I guess that was kind of the post-Attitude Era, so the Ruthless Aggression Era more so.
Yeah.
Which actually I kind of see a lot reflected in your character, I guess, because it is that, especially last night, fucking gobbing on people and just raining in them forearms. Is
that, like, everyone... I enjoy it. It's like Mark, I spat my chewing at Mark, and I love Mark to pieces, but once again, I love Mark to pieces, but for me, when I go out as Hyde, when I'm high, it's not as if, like, I turn everything off and I don't care about anyone, but it's just, I'm involved. It's like, it's... If there's the words,
honestly, like,
people that wrestle know what I mean, and actors will know what I mean. If there's any people that don't know what I mean, it may sound like mental conditions.
Actually,
but I'm nice people.
Have you seen the Jim Carrey documentary on Netflix?
No, not yet.
That is insane. That is
Jim
like,
Carrey is my absolute favourite thing on this planet.
I think I watched that because I think it was actually Jackie Hyde, one of your family members. That's spoiler alert. It was like, dude, you should totally watch this. Like, there's actually a little bit of wrestling in there from when
Andy Kaufman had
the thing with Jerry Lawler, and then so basically Jim Carrey was Andy Kaufman for the entire filming of this thing. Like, he couldn't switch it off. He was that guy. And it's I completely. It's almost like method acting. Like, you go out that curtain, you've got to be Alexander Hyde. There's nobody. You leave Kev back in Gorilla.
We're not going to use the exact example, but we were watching wrestling not too long ago, and you said, and someone who I'm a fan of, and you were like, I don't believe it in his eyes. And that's something that, like, I can walk out and I can be physically demanding, but if a kid looks at me in the eyes, he's just like, oh, he looks like a teddy bear. I've lost. I'm out. I'm done. I haven't done my job correctly. If my job is to go out, be scary, and be hated.
Did you believe? So it was Tommaso Ciampa attacking.
Kev says he won't name names.
This is coming out in at least 8 days' time. Everyone will have watched Takeover by then.
It wasn't even that. It was more like, dear Mr. McMahon, any views and opinions expressed by Ollie Spring on this.
I love how every podcast we do, you're absolutely convinced that Vinnie Mac's listening and judging you, and like. Much as I would love to think he's listening, I think we're safe at the moment. But no, for me, like, I don't know, Ciampa, he hit him in the back with that crutch, and then just walked away. To me, if you really hate someone, you really want to beat someone down, you do a little bit more than that. He would, but then I guess there's always, and this is the thing, so psychology. You can argue either case. No one's ever right. So I guess there's always psychological reasons why he didn't do it and didn't do that. But I don't know. I guess I just didn't buy into it overly.
See, it really You're right. Psychology is so involved, but at the same point, what else did he need to do? In my opinion, he turned on him. He got injured. He came out and he stole the moment.
Which
this was Johnny Gargano's big clap. You've just had one of the best matches that we've seen in a while. Everyone's clapping you, and now I've knocked you down. I'm standing tall. And it was the look in the eyes, to me, like, it wasn't like, I'm super annoyed at you. It was, I'm back. Like, I'm taking my moment. You've stole this from me. But once again, that it's the same reason why who I think might be a fantastic wrestler, you might think is a bad wrestler. Same reason when we watch matches, you might think this is great, this is woeful.
You and I watch things, because obviously you know about the in-ring stuff. I've deliberately steered away of anyone talking about match planning or anything like that. I just avoid, because that's the one thing. As soon as that's ruined for me, that'd be wrestling done for me.
The magic's in the mystery.
That's it. So I still want to have some magic and some mystery. I don't want to be able to watch a match and break it down and go, oh, he put the shine in here, because I still don't really understand what the shine but I don't want to understand that sort of stuff. So
the big thing is as well, there's no need. Like we live in a world where information is at our fingertips. Like you can learn about everything in a heartbeat, or you can read about everything in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So like, dude. To the point we ruin things, and this isn't even wrestling specifically. We ruin things for ourselves. But with your role on a show, being a commentator, which means you have to talk about the match as it's going on. As we said, Mauro Ranallo is absolutely fantastic. Because he just gets so hype.
Yeah.
And I think it's because he does the same technique. When he's backstage, he's not like, oh, what have you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He just... I don't want to hear it. Come talk to me if you want to talk to me about anything else.
I'm more than happy to help people chat about their characters and move names and things like that. But or if you go, I've got this big spot that I need you to get over. Like,
this is what I'm calling this move. I'm hitting it in this match.
Or like it's something this is the name
of my the partner I'm attacking Gio with.
Yeah, which nobody told me that, so I didn't have a fucking clue who the guy was. Like, oh, who's this guy? You came out like, he's Alexander Hyde. Holy shit, what the fuck is he doing here? He's just attacked Gio.
That was pretty funny in the sense of like I'd already disconnected the barricade because I wasn't jumping over the barricade. I didn't trust the structural integrity because knowing my luck, like, and for this, I guess being on Botchamania would make me famous.
That barricade cannot handle many nugs.
Yeah, it cannot handle many nugs. Can't handle goose. So I disconnect.
For the record, you dropped that first.
Yeah,
you mentioned goose first. I'm going to try and steer clear of it.
Yeah, we'll stay clear of that. I disconnected the barricade, but put them beside each other because I was like, I'm just going to pull it apart, jump in, clean Geo. When I went back, like as Connor Klein made his way into the ring, I went to the barricade, and the barricade was now closed, and there was kids hanging off it, to the point where I was like, once again, straight into character. It was like, get out of the way now, and like they didn't, and they ended up chinning one of them with a barricade. Wow. Well, in fairness, I think he was still on the barricade, and they just like lifted him and moved him,
carried the child away with the barricade.
But it was just that moment was pretty funny. It was just like, okay, this is happening. I can't get in. I didn't want to step over because like I'm not that tall yet.
Well, I mean, you could have done.
I could have done, but like at a cost. Trying to be polite.
Fair point. So I mean, believability is obviously a big thing. I was just trying to think. I've completely lost my train of thought. It's the problem when you're trying to arrange people coming into your house while you're trying to podcast. So we're not going to talk about Goose. We're not going to talk about all the other nicknames because I'm pretty sure that's another podcast for another day. So as far as so you were born in France. This is I would not. That's the like if you just said where was I born, I'd say I'd just have to try and guess Irish towns, but would never guess France. So it moved over when you were about 4.
Yeah.
What was life like growing up in Ireland? Because I've heard some insane stories from yourself, maybe, about like life in Ireland and how like dangerous I guess it can be at times. Not that I'm looking to bury the country on this.
Man, it's dangerous everywhere.
True.
I think it's just more apparent of our history in Ireland in regards to what everyone knows, or what most people know as the Troubles. Essentially being a civil war, which it's never actually referred to. But yeah, it really depends what way you look at it. For me personally, from as far back as I can remember, I was bullied. So it wasn't the best place in the world, at that time for me. Like I didn't. As a whole, it's not too bad. However, at the minute we don't have a government.
Yeah,
we haven't had a government for a year. So what has happened is the DUP, which is
so I'm not so good with politics, but the DUP were the people that Theresa May paid off to basically join her. And
so the DUP, I won't get into politics too much because if there's anyone listening to this from back home, I'm going to get kneecapped. But yeah, we have two sides. We have the Catholic side, which is I consider myself Irish, and we have the Protestant side, which is I consider myself British. The British side was like, oh, we want this, and the Irish side, well, no, you can't have that, we want this, and then the British said, well, if we can't have that, you can't have that.
And it just got petty.
To the point where, the best analogy I can think of is because they couldn't agree, so they just disbanded government, and this has been a year now. The best analogy I can think of is when you have an argument with the missus, but both of you go to sleep on the couch.
Yeah.
So like, well,
you might as well both just go sleep. If you're going to do that, you might as well both sleep in the same bed. Like,
yeah, but that's what they're doing. They're like,
yourself in
you
a
can't have
comfortable
this, you can't have that, or if I can't have this, you can't have that, and they're just like, fine, and they haven't talked. They haven't talked since, and when I say talk, they haven't actually ironed anything out.
Yeah.
To the point where it was pulled up, I think, like 2 weeks ago, to Theresa May. They're like, we need to sort this out, and Theresa May was like, I completely agree. Y'all need to talk.
Yeah.
And that was all she said. I was like, got a point.
Yeah.
Like, if the only thing that's going to resolve it is that. So it's a very strange little country. We're very small, but we're like big shoulders.
Yeah.
Probably the way I'd put it.
No, okay, I get that. So obviously, growing up through school, obviously doesn't sound like it was an easy life for you either.
No, it wasn't enjoyable.
Was wrestling ever the way out, like a way for you to escape that in a way? Or did it take a while before wrestling became that big a deal?
Wrestling for me has always been my father figure.
Okay.
Which I guess is a weird perspective, but I was raised by my mum and my granny. So mum had to be mum and dad. Yeah. Which of course is very hard for me. That's why
it's hard when you got one to do, let alone doing both.
Yeah, and that's why we're so close to this day. Like I think me and my mum talk at least every 2 or 3 days. So I make sure that because my stepdad are taking care of my granny. So I'm checking in to make sure that everything's okay. Because like she'll work all day and then she'll come home and she'll take care of granny at night.
A few people doing that sort of thing at the moment as well.
Yeah, and it's tough. So it's just really, if she needs to get anything off her chest and talk, that's where it's there. Yeah. If it's for a general chat, it's there. So if she doesn't hear from me in a few days, she starts to get worried. But it's just more of I'm checking in to make sure she's okay and vice versa. Yeah. But yeah, wrestling for me was always my father figure in the sense of like, as a kid, you never really know what the definition of a man is. Yeah. And I guess wrestling would have probably showed you that. So I guess because there was no men about the house. Yeah. It was me, mum, and granny. No matter what was going on in the world, for most of my life until I was about 9, until I met Billy, which we'll go into later. It was just the 3 of us, and not really knowing what a man is, and then I'm flicking on the thing that I'm loving watching, and it's guys like Test, who are huge with long hair, and Triple H long hair, beard, all muscular physiques, all strong, like denim on denim back when that was a thing, and things like that. So I've always attributed wrestling being my father figure in that sense. I guess you got plenty of strong male role models to kind of you kind of see the best. You got your face and your heels. So obviously, you see the bad guys and you're like, oh man, I probably shouldn't do like that. And you see the good guy coming out to save the day, and that kind of inspires you to. Well, mum and granny kept me really well, well-rounded in that regard. Granny used to use this analogy, and once again, she doesn't remember it to this day. But it was always to do with studying, because my uncle is really well travelled. He's an architect, and he sets up like different events and stuff. Cool. So he gets paid good money to travel the world to set all these events up, and but he spent years at uni. Yeah. Like I mean, I think it was like 15-20 years at uni. Jesus. Because he would do something, and then change, just go on to something else until he found what he loved to do. Career, it's like career education. It's like where you do one degree and then you think, oh, I'm not ready for the real, so you do another little thing. It wasn't even that he wasn't ready for the world. He was like, this isn't for me. Yeah, so he just keeps trying to until he found what he'd done. Until he found what he wanted to do. So my granny used to use the expression is like, if you don't study, you'll end up down the chicken factory down the road pulling guts out of its arse. But nice. It was always things like that. I don't get me wrong, still didn't study. But it was one of those. But you're also not pulling chicken guts out of their asses, so you know. But yeah, mum and granny always kept me somewhat right on the moral front. But yeah, it was more the physical stature of wrestling where I was just like, okay, cool, that's what men look like. And like obviously in this day and age, it's not necessarily the case in the sense like I don't believe that's what men should look like. To me, that's what I want to look like, and that's what I kind of look like. In 2018, that's what. It's a case of like it doesn't matter if you wear skinny jeans or rock eyeliner or, you know, don't drink beer or like I don't like beer, for example. I don't like beer or lager. I like rum. But it's one of those things where like there is no definition of what a man should look like. But for me at that age, when I had no male role models about, I was like, okay, it's cool.
And I guess that's the age where all your impressions are made. So like, if there's any time to make a psychological implant on you, that would have been the time to kind of impress on you. Exactly.
So it's not that like all men have to look like that, but for me at that age, I was like, cool. So that's what a man.
Successful men on the telly look like that, and therefore, if I want to be a successful man, I need to start. Mate, why didn't I ever think that? Jesus. unless I saw Yokozuna from a young age, I was like, that's how I need to do things. That's the way I need to go. So how did you actually start wrestling on? Because did you go to indie shows first and then go that way, or did you just look up a school? How, like, at what point did you actually say, instead of thinking I'd love to do that, what point did you actually go, I'm going to do that, and you actually went out the door and started training?
So I was 15, and I went on a mission trip to Canada.
Wow.
And then
which side? Which part?
Down near Halifax.
Oh, okay, so East Coast.
Yeah, sure. I'm not good with geography in the slightest. That's how I ended up with chicken guts. But yeah, I ended up there, and because we had a team come over the year before, so we came back the year after. So this year that we went after, I was the only person in our team who was staying with a family that we hadn't met.
When you say team, as in
like a group of people that came over.
Okay, so not
the
like
year
a sports
before.
Team or a
no. Just a mission team.
Yeah.
So when we went over, I was the only one out of our team that went over that wasn't staying with someone that had met the year before.
Okay.
So I met the folk I was staying on, and we're still close to this day. They're family to me at this point.
Yeah.
So done that for near 2 weeks, and then went home, and I went back the year after for a month by myself, just to go out and go back to Canada.
From what I gather, Halifax is a nice place.
Like, we were about an hour from it, like New Brunswick area.
Okay, yeah.
But that's where I flew into. It was nice. And yeah, when I went over for a month, we were sitting around the family. Like, it was the first time I ever really had a family dinner was at 16, because it was me, Noah, who's a fella, I think he's a year younger than me, Shelby, who's about his little sister, who's 2 or 3 years older than me, and then Tara, the mum, and Brent, the dad, and 2 fantastic dogs. One of them's now passed, which was really sad.
Dogs, like, they're just
dogs are amazing. I like dogs.
Were they like bear dogs, as it were, like the ones that are there to kind of ward off bears? So if a bear comes around, the dog starts barking.
No, but I did see a bear. I think it was the first time in my life I actually ran.
Wow.
The last time I actually ran as well. But yeah, we were just sitting around the dinner, the dinner table, and they're saying, you know, what do you want to do with your life? And obviously, growing up watching wrestling,
that's quite a question for a 16-year-old.
Yeah, wanting to do it, and having virtually everyone around me at that age, obviously bar my folks, and a small minute of people, everyone was saying, you know, you're not gonna, like, you're no good, you're not gonna do it, you're woeful, why would you even bother, don't waste your time, you're useless.
And did you have any idea where you were, like, or was it just like, I just want to give it a go somehow, somewhere?
No, I just floated for years. I even stopped wrestling for a few years because, like, I got bullied for everything, man. At the start I got bullied for being French. Legit, when I moved over when I was 4 or 5, they bullied me for being French. Just because I had a wee French accent on me.
Just because it was different.
One guy in the estate decided he didn't like me. And then for years I got bullied and nobody knew why. Because it got...
It's that one guy.
It got to the point where they were like, oh, well, all the cool kids are picking on the meatball, the short fat one. I'm going to do
you're
that
the meatball?
too. Yeah, I was the meatball.
Really?
I was really chubby.
That's like two things, like if 2 words that are like the complete opposite of...
have you seen me, bro? It's the end of my bulk.
I thought that was a power belly.
No, power belly.
Yeah, power belly.
But yeah, it got to the point where people were just like, okay, well, they're picking on this kid, and they're the cool kids, so I'm going to do it. So
therefore, that's the side of the fence you have to...
Yeah, for years I stopped watching wrestling, like, because of it, and then when I was...
Because they're bullying you for watching wrestling? Or?
Yeah, that was one of the things I got bullied for, so it got to the point where, because I was getting bullied, people were looking for an excuse to continue. So always watching wrestling. Oh, he's got this color of shoes. He's got this haircut. You know, all these like silly things. But when you have so many people drilling it into you, you believe it. And then sitting around the dinner table, and then it was either Tara or Brent, the mum and dad of the family, were like, well, what is it you want to do with your life? I was like, I don't know. When I was younger, I always wanted to be a wrestler. And they said, well, why aren't you doing it?
Yeah. What's stopping you?
I didn't have an answer to that question. And I said, you know, like I genuinely didn't have an answer. And then I thought about it. And then as soon as I landed home I think it was even that night, I went home and I researched wrestling companies in Northern Ireland. And then I emailed them. And then I flew back in August and I started training on the 3rd of September. So that would have been... what year are we now, man? That would have been 2012? 3rd of September 2012, I want to say.
Wow.
Maybe it was 2011.
So we're
yeah, because it'll be 6 years in September, so it was the 3rd of September 2011. I started training. I think I'd only been back in the country like 2 weeks. Wow. And I was like, cool, I'm doing it. Because I didn't have an answer to the question. Yeah. So I was like, you've got a point. If I can't answer that question, then I have no answer. So I have no reason.
What was it like then getting involved? So what company did you start off with, or who were the... Where was your first kind of experience of getting in the ring and trying to learn how to bump?
I started with Pro Wrestling Ulster, which are a company based out of Belfast who are still running in Belfast.
Are they still going now?
Yeah, still going.
Cool.
And I remember what I used to have to do. I had to walk. This was on a Sunday. Mum was kind of iffy about it because we are a church household, and it was on a Sunday. So she's like, I don't want you missing church. I was like, it's fine. Trust me, I'll be praying before I go in anyway. So yeah, I walked. I got a lift to church. We'd done church things.
Yep.
Then got a lift to the train station. Got a 45-minute train to Lisburn. I think it was...
Which is where Tim Lee was born, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah, another thing I didn't know.
Tim Lee TV.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot he's got a double barrel surname.
And then I had about, I think it was like a 2 or a 2.5 mile walk at the end of the train station into the back ass of the country, into like a storage unit.
Yeah.
So obviously I wasn't. It's not that I wasn't well travelled. I wasn't well travelled in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
So I just had to. I think I printed it out. No, I didn't. Anyway, I got lost. I walked out the wrong road. I think I walked an extra like 2 mile before I realised, and then because it was the back ass of nowhere, there was no one really to talk to. But I seen a house and I went up and asked. I was like, "Look, this is what I'm looking for." He goes, "Yeah, you've went the wrong way." So I actually kind of like a fork in the road for like, well, not even the road technically went straight, but I was supposed to cut up left through an estate, which didn't look like much to me. So I remember then turning up. I think I turned up like 45 minutes late, and there was 27 of us that started that day. That was like the new beginner intake.
Okay.
I'm the only one that still wrestles to this day.
Wow. So is that because of the quality of that school, or the quality of the people that had turned up?
Quality of the people that turned up. Like, you see it everywhere. A lot of people want to be wrestlers.
Yeah.
And then they take a bump and they're like, you know what, this isn't for me.
Yes. Yeah. I think that, to me, that's kind of what's... I know I couldn't take a bump, so I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to try. Much as I'd love to...
Like, and you know, big respect to you for... I wouldn't say knowing your place, because that sounds horrible. But I mean, kind of looking at it and go, like, it looks good, but... Well, I'm happy enough to do my role.
I know what I'm like, personally speaking. Like, so for example, when I was snowboarding in Canada, I looked at the people doing all the flips and the jumps and stuff. And it was like, they call it riding park. And I was like, I would love to be a park rider like that. I would love to be able to hit a ramp and do a triple flip and all this. But I know I'm the guy that kind of... Because with that, it's like I think was it Jackie Chan that said, if you get hurt, you don't get hurt if you go all in. You don't get hurt if you don't go in, but if you half go in, you're going to hurt yourself. Yeah. So, like, I was the guy that would hesitate right at the very end, fuck up, and then I would hurt myself because I wasn't fully committed. And I know that I would be in a ring, I'd have to fully commit, and I would just balls out at the last second and hurt somebody. I just know that's what I do. And I'm pretty sure that if I took a bump, I'd have an asthma attack. So, but I know, and I'm happy with this because I can still be creative, I can still be involved. And everyone wants to be wrestlers these days. No one wants to be a commentator. So there's a hole for me there, you know.
And
That's
the
an oddly
big
shaped
thing
gap
is,
that I can fill, at
the
least.
big thing is, well, like, oh, I want to be a wrestler, but we still need ring announcers. We still need video guys. We still need sound guys.
The amount of people I've known that were only doing those roles because it was a foot in the door so they could be wrestlers. Like, how many refs do you know that are refs because they want to ref?
Yeah, very few.
There's zero. Like, I
know two back home.
Yeah?
Yeah, Foxy, who refs for the likes of OTT and Uprising, and Tommy, who refs for PW. They have no intention of being anything else but refs. That's all they wanted to do.
I love people like that because
and it's like fair play, man. Because without you, we can't do what we do, and it's not as if you're less important. You're just as important to the show as we are, if not more. Because if I drop out of the card, well, we have 50 wrestling companies in England, so there's bound to be.
There's bound to be a spare wrestler every
God
year,
knows how many wrestlers in England. But how many refs who are actually refs and not trainees?
Yeah. That's true. So you started your training. What was it? So it was in like a storage unit, like
it was a storage unit in the back of Lisburn.
That could have been that big, right?
Big enough to fit the ring, and we had a bit of walking space around the sides, plural. But then again, we did have the lot in the sense of like the car parky bit.
Okay. Yeah.
So in the summer it would be, we can use that. But like it was big enough for the job, you know what I mean?
And how long were you there until you kind of found yourself ring ready? Because I'm always interested in this, like how quick people go from training to being what they consider to be ring ready. For
me personally, I only considered myself ring ready about 2 years ago, and I've been wrestling over 5 years.
Yeah.
However, I've been wrestling shows about 6 months into training.
That's one thing I'm very aware of, is that people that haven't been training that long getting annoyed that they're not getting bookings and stuff. But like, or I think I often hear the main established guys when they're on other people's podcasts, you know, you'll always ask them how long were you training, and it's years. It is years that they went before they got their proper shot in a match. And I think that there's a lot of people these days. I'm not sure if it's because whether it's the promoter's fault or if it's the guys training, they think they're ready and they want that shot already after 2-3 months of trying it. I'm always curious to kind of hear how long it takes people to get from A to B, because I guess I'm judgmental of it, but I don't really know.
Our training was a lot more structured at the start. It was like 3 months you will do beginners, which is bumps, maybe rolls, can't really remember, an international,
which I potentially think
sleep,
I know, but,
leap.
Yeah.
You will have seen it 5,000 times.
But I just there's certain little sequences and spots I've heard people talk about, and I get what you mean.
So beginners was like 3 months, and then we went into advanced, and then I think I got my first show when I was 5 months training. It was me and a fellow who wrestles under the name as Rocky Star.
Okay, is he still going?
Yeah, he's still going,
cool.
man.
How was that first match? How well can you remember that first match?
Oh, bricked it.
How much?
Do you know what? It wasn't really a match. So we had a tag team. Can't even remember what they're called, but it was Christopher Tiberius Banks III.
Wow.
Who still wrestles. And Ricky Marvel, who were like the pretentious rich kids. So they bought the tag belts for Christmas. This was the shtick, and they were defending the tag belts because they were defending champions, but it was against the trainees of Aaron and Kevin.
Yeah.
So we came out like a ball of fire. I get knocked off the apron. Rocky gets beat up and loses the match. I crawl in. They hit their tag finish on me, even though the match is over.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
6-7 minutes.
Okay.
5. Easy. 5 including hindrances.
Yeah.
I bricked it for a good 3-4 hours before that show for a 10-minute spot.
Yeah.
I was just like, what?
Good one, mate. At that point in your wrestling life, that's like that 10-minute spot is everything you've been putting months and months into this, and years of thinking about it into this one 10-minute spot that you got. Like, I always say, if you're not nervous before doing stuff like this, that's when you got to be worried. Like me, I always say whenever I play music gigs, if I'm not nervous beforehand, something is wrong. The day that I go into a gig confident that it's gonna be fun, that's when I'm gonna fuck up.
Yeah,
I think and that also proves that it still means something. if your heart's beating a little bit faster, if the adrenaline's pumping, that fucking means something. Like, you know you're doing something that is important.
Definitely.
So I'd always say nerves. If you ever don't get nervous, that's when you got to fucking worry.
Yeah, and then it went on for another year and a half. I was kind of doing bits and pieces. Like, I was just really filling gaps.
Yeah, as a wrestler.
Yeah. For this one show, because like I said, we have about 6 wrestling companies in all of Ireland.
That's what I was, yeah. You wrestled for all of them?
Majority?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've wrestled for the majority of them. Haven't wrestled for OTT.
That's, I think we need to 20 goals for 2018.
And the likes of CCW. I haven't wrestled for down in Cork. Which Pastor and Mambo have worked and stuff like that.
Right. And of course, if you've had that match, they
don't even. But yeah, so I just kind of pottered about a bit, and then for a while I stopped going to training, and then I was in that mentality of, well, you know, I deserve to be on spots. I deserve.
Yeah.
And then
so that was after what, like 2 years of it.
Yeah, but like I really wasn't good. We trained for a few hours on Sunday. Yeah, I thought it was good. But then again, everyone does.
Yeah.
And it was the likes of JDP, who was the promoter then, and an active wrestler. He was saying, he's a very blunt guy, but in a good way. You know what I mean? He's just like, you're not getting on shows because you're not coming to training, and you're not ready to be on shows.
But yeah,
like you couldn't fault him. He was right. He was 100% correct.
I think
so I've done bits and pieces.
More people that probably need to be told that, if you ask me, but
I took a few squashes, and then we've done bits and bobs. Then I started tagging with one of my best mates, who I'd started with, who doesn't wrestle anymore now. Then I moved on, went into, after that tag team broke up, it was funny how it happened. It was just kind of like, we want to do something different. Do you want to be a face? I was like, yeah, sure. I was like, do you want to do it as a crazy luchador?
Okay. Oh yeah.
And this is me who can't do flips. I guess that's where the comedy came in, and could barely do rolls at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, sure. So, you know, what do you want your name to be? And the lads back home there had called me Crazy Jesus since I started.
Was that for the hair and the beard?
Yeah.
Did you have the hair and beard at that point?
Yeah. I had a beard since I was 16. Legit, I started growing when I got back from Canada.
Do not doubt that for a fucking second, mate. I do not doubt that.
And yeah, so they're like, what do you want your name to be? I was like, yeah, sure. So they put me in a mask and pushed me out the curtain. And it was gold. He was just like, that's your gimmick moving forward. I was like, alright, sick. Cool. And it just kind of developed, as time went on. And it's genuinely some of the most fun I have ever had. Because I just didn't, it's not that I didn't care, because once again I got to completely compartmentalize. That's not the word I'm looking for in the slightest.
No?
It is, but I don't think I'm saying it right. But yeah, it was one of those things where Kevin ended, Jesus started.
Yeah.
For completely different reasons. For Kevin ends, Hyde starts. And it's just, I guess it's just been one of those 3D characters.
Yeah. So is Jesus like so he's like a bit of a Joker then in that case? Do you not think you're a bit of a Joker anyway? Like,
yeah, I just take the mick out of everything, man. As you've noticed. Yeah. Charlie Chaplin once said, "A day without laughter is a day wasted."
Amen.
And that is something that I've always held close to me. Because like the likes of Jim Carrey is still, always has been one of my favourite things on the planet. He's so funny, he's so animated.
Yeah. You definitely you got Netflix at home?
Oh yeah,
definitely find it. I can't remember what it's called.
I have it saved. I just haven't got around to watching it.
It's a compelling watch. You won't be able to stop once you've pressed play.
So it's like, I got to go out and just have a laugh. And like, I had a match with Kano at one point, and he didn't shave his pits for the show. And like someone shouted, "He stinks." I was like, "No, he's a right guard." And like, it got a huge reaction. I turned it into an advert for Right Guard. I came out in a Boojum t-shirt one time, and I started to get sponsors from a burrito company.
Wow.
I had a piñata called Juan.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, when he got crushed, I had another one called Two. And like, it was just these stupid things. I'd made someone do the Macarena once. I'd take a beating, take a bite out of a burrito, and then Hulk up. It was just these stupid, wee,
holy
funny...
fuck, have you still got the mask?
Yes, I still have both of them. They're back home.
You know that Twister's doing that masked luchador challenge?
No.
We might need Masked Luchadors to come in and take on
I'd do it again,
Twister.
man.
That I
They're
would
back home. I'd have to
pop
get them
the
posted.
boys,
Pop the boys. Finger
boys.
dance. So yeah, and then after that, it kind of got to a point where my goal in wrestling was always to be the top heel of a company. And as much fun as I had doing the comedy luchador shtick, it was so good, but like, I was still thinking that as much as I was committing to it and I was giving it everything it had, I was still kind of going, right, I still want to be here. This is still
the comedy stuff wasn't being taken as seriously as the proper serious shit kickers, or
not necessarily, because like I was arguably the most over face.
Yeah.
Bart Tucker, who works for that company back home. That's where he started as well.
Yeah.
That's where I've pretty much trained under from day one.
Was it more the fact that the father figures you had as a kid weren't the comedy? They were the.
I don't
big,
really
like,
know.
yeah.
I've always loved comedy. I love laughing. I love making people laugh. But at the same point, I've always wanted to be the top heel in the company and just be that hated, on screen.
Of course.
So that was always the goal, regardless of anything I've done in my career, like comedy wise, or that was always the goal. So it was starting to get to the point where I had guys like a trainer who'd came over from Canada who have said I was wasted under a mask. I had a fella I've had the pleasure to train under, who was holding down the fort for Irish wrestling over in Japan, wrestling for 0-1, Sean Maxer. I've had the pleasure to train under him, and he was saying similar things, you know what I mean, that you should be the heel.
Yeah, 100%. It works, because it's the size of you, man. Like you can be an intimidating guy.
It was getting to that point where, because I was training with one company in Belfast, so I was wrestling shows for PWU, but I was training with Uprising. And we were told we had to make a choice, really, that we couldn't wrestle for both shows.
I hate people that say that.
I'm not going to get into it too much.
No, of course, there's always more to it.
But we were pretty much told we had to choose either or, and I was
from one side or from both.
From one.
Okay.
And I had quite a bit of smoke blown up my backside from one side, saying, we could use you as the top heel and you should be a heel and you're wasted under the Jesus gimmick. Yeah. So I had that, and after a while, once again, like it was 10 years ago, with the bullying obviously nowhere near as negative, but it was the consistency of the words where I was like, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
Not that I'm better than this place, but I was like, I have hit my glass ceiling. This is where I'm going. And obviously I didn't deal with it well, and I've since patched it up with PW, but I'd sent them a message going, look, I've hit my glass ceiling. That's it.
I definitely I know the feeling when you kind of it's not really relevant, I guess, but there was one night when I was doing my open mic music and I knew I was never going to do better than the night that I had, and everything else would and that was my peak. I realised that was kind of it for me, and
well, the thing is, when you're having smoke blown up your backside, and then you have guys like Drew Onyx from Canada, who's trained people at the performance centre, is well travelled, saying, you're wasted under a max, and guys like Maxer in Japan, and you're kind of like, well, those successful guys are saying that, and then these boys are saying this. I'm like, maybe they're right. So I sent the message. Obviously, didn't go down well with. That was my fault for doing it over message instead of saying, "Yo, let's get a coffee, let's talk about it." This is because they didn't actually know that we had to make a choice.
And
I didn't provide them with that context. But like,
so I guess
it's grand now. You know what I mean? Like I went to the last show when I was home over Christmas just to say hello to everyone. Mind you, JDP, who wasn't the promoter at this time, but I got to know him quite well over the past while. He knew that the words in the message weren't my message. I'd sent the message, but he knew the words that I was using were, I was I believe the smoke in the mirrors, you know. So that was it. Dropped that. Went to Uprising, done their first show for them, and from there my love of wrestling started to die.
Okay. Is it down to that politics of you have to choose, or like
kind of?
I guess you just want to do your thing and have fun, and
you
don't have to worry about that sort of shit.
There was a lot of politics. There was a lot of negativity. I was going up, I was training, busting my backside, being in a lot of pain, going for it anyway, and there was still so much negativity, and I was like, I don't know if I could be bothered anymore. In the meantime, one of my best mates, he wrestles under Nathan Boyd. No, he doesn't. He wrestles under Nathan Byrne.
Nice.
Yeah, close enough. Well, his real name is Stephen Boyd, and he went with Nathan Byrne, and I was like, why don't you go with Nathan Boyd? But that was like 6 months after he chose his name.
Yeah.
So he'd already been out there. So I just keep messing with his head now. But yeah, we were talking about it because he was in the same boat as me. He was like, look, I done this job last year in England, and then I tried to live out there and it didn't work. I'm going back again. Why don't you come with me? And he kind of like, he said it in the hope I would do it, but thinking that I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I did it, so I applied for a job which had me living in the woods and teaching kids survival skills.
Wow.
So from mid-April until the start of September, I lived in the woods.
Are you good at that sort of stuff anyway? Or
I wasn't.
No? So how did you do the job? How did you get the job then if you weren't?
And I'm not going to talk about my faith too much in this, but I'm a strong believer.
If it's a big part, if that's who,
yeah,
I'm happy with that.
I strongly believe where God guides, He provides. In the sense of, I'd never officially worked with kids. Like, I'd been part of a youth club, and the church, the kids in my church, like, hang off me like I'm some form of monkey frame, and stuff like that. But I've never officially worked with kids. I'd never slept in a tent before that night.
I'm not good with tents, man.
I had never worked outdoors. And I'd never been in a management role, and now I'm living in the woods, managing 60 kids, 5 of my own staff, God knows how many teachers, running this entire campsite, providing lectures.
Talk about end of the deep end, man.
I was so underqualified for that job, it's shocking.
Wow.
But I got the job that helped me move to England. That's what I mean by where God guides, He provides. By no means was I qualified for that job.
But you had the opportunity, and
I applied for it. I got it. I moved it. I done it. When it was coming to the end, I applied for one job in Birmingham. I went for one interview in Birmingham, and I viewed one house. I viewed the house in Wolves. Got one interview in Birmingham, and that was the job I ended up in, and the house that I'm currently living in. Job didn't last too long, but it still provided me that safety net. So yeah, it's a crazy journey, man. I've been in England nearly a year now.
That's crazy as well. So how's it been? How have you found the transition from Ireland to England? Because that's
grand. I just take the mick out of all you English folk. The people who know I'm joking are grand. The people who don't know I'm joking, well, like, I was raised in Armagh. I've lived in Belfast. Like, what are you going to do to me that I haven't? That hasn't been done to me yet. Oh, I'm going to punch you. You might up your game, mate, like that. The transition itself was fine. I'd never been to England before the interview. I'd connecting flights through Heathrow to Canada and stuff, but like, I'd never actually been in England.
So I guess so you spent like a few weeks in Canada here and there, but have you ever really spent much time away from your family up until now? Like,
well, I moved out when I was 18. I moved home for maybe 2 months, which would have been over a year and a half ago, and then I moved to a local town. But like, I've never really been a home bird. We mentioned this earlier, that my mum, when she was I think 18 or 20, upped and moved to France for 18 years just because she wanted to get up and go. So she always instilled in me that, like, there's so much more to this world than Ireland. Like, Armagh is such a small town. Like, my ex used to live at the opposite end of the town at the Old Moy Road, and it was legit in the country of the opposite. The about a 2.5 mile walk. This is Armagh City. This is technically classified as a city, and I can walk it in less than an hour to the other end of the road. But Mum always instilled it, like, go see things and do things, and like, why not?
You chose Birmingham and Wolverhampton.
I chose Wolverhampton, the town which hasn't seen sunlight in 35 years. But it was funny how that progressed. Like,
so actually, why was it Wolverhampton? Was it just that was the job the one job you got was kind of in the area? And that.
Can I move this mic without messing it up?
Yeah, of course,
Sick, because I want to lean on the table now. I'm getting lazy.
That's cool.
So we had 3 sites available to work in and we chose Kent. We worked in Kent because we wanted to train with a company down there. And one day we rarely got to go because, once again, if I had a school assigned to me, if I was running a camp for 3 days, I was not leaving that camp for 3 days.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
I just can't imagine that. I have no experiences, and then all of a sudden survive out here.
Do you know what, man? They just seen the beard and they went, shit, he looks like someone who lives in the woods. I guess they thought I had the right heart for the job.
Maybe.
It was absolutely phenomenal. Like, I loved it so much. But like I said, didn't really get to train, didn't really get to hit the gym. We ended up just buying weights and keeping them in the woods.
Yeah. But at the same time, I guess you're living out, you're getting the fresh air. I'm guessing some of the stuff you were having to do out there was pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Going, so
well, there would be things like if we needed firewood, I'd be like, sweet.
you have to go chop
I would
the
just
tree down and,
I would
like,
go
carry shit around and
It really depends. Like, we try not to chop trees down because it's not always necessary.
Yeah.
So sometimes we'd have to, but there'd obviously be dead trees.
yeah. But still, you were doing physical activity.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. We were running about in the woods with kids from about.
That's probably a better gym than the gym, right?
Yeah, we would be working from 7 in the morning. We'd stop at about 11:30, 12 at night if we were lucky.
That's crazy, man.
And then at the same point, I could be woke up at any point during the night. If kids were homesick or they were lonely. So we tried to train as much as we could. It wasn't always practical. And there was one day we were down training with Savvy Sid, Johnny Bailey.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were saying, we were just explaining, we're living in the woods, blah, 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 blah. But when the season comes to an end, we have to move somewhere. And we were talking Manchester. And then Johnny Bailey was like, look, if you're serious about it, which you are, you've moved this far, you may as well move to the Midlands.
Yeah.
He goes, that's your best bet. He goes, so many wrestlers are based in the Midlands because there's always travel.
Yep.
And that was really the main reason.
Yeah.
I think you might have referenced Fight Club. I'm not sure, but we looked into it and then Googled, you know, West Midlands. I was like, where the hell is this? I was like, it's in the middle of England. I was like, aha, Midland. I get it. And then I was like, Fight Club Pro is based out of Wolverhampton. I was like, sweet, I'm moving to Wolverhampton.
Done.
Yeah, that was all it took. Was like
just
Johnny Bailey to say Midlands, me to Google Midlands and go, right, cool. This is where I'm going.
Awesome. And then
absolutely fantastic.
Just started networking. And so where have you been so far? We've obviously got the Wrestling League. You done Fight Factory.
Yeah, I've done
Lincoln,
Fight Factory up in Lincoln.
Are you regular there, or was that just been like
that was just the one-off so far. Not sure, because Stevie's since moved home back to Belfast, so not 100% sure what way or if that'll be going moving forward. But worked Wrestling League, worked Fight Factory UK, worked SEPW, which was Kent last week.
I can't say I've heard of those guys, so that's one for me to keep an eye out
for.
It
was funny enough, it was someone who provided the ring for APW months ago when I was training with them, and I helped them out with a show. Didn't even know the man ran a promotion, just talking to him like legit, just talked to him like I talk to any other human being. And then, you know, just had a good chat with him. Absolutely lovely fella. And then when he'd added me on Facebook, or I added him a few days later, turned out he worked for a promotion. I was like, shit, you know, I want to train with you. Didn't get around to it, and last weekend he had a show in Kent, and I was going to be local enough, so I said, you know, if you've got any use for me, work away. If not, you know, still love to come down and check it out and train with you guys and see. And he's like, yeah, I'll make use of you. So I've been there. This week was Wrestling League. Next weekend, my debut for Sacrifice Pro.
As in release day, that was yesterday. And I'll tell you what, you tore the house down with Huss, man. That was one hell of a match.
That next week, yesterday match that I had with Hustle Malone.
I loved calling that match. It was a good match.
You know what, man? I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I've had the pleasure to spend a good few hours with Huss in that car journey up with Ashley Dunn.
The infamous journey.
Honestly, the best. No comment. The best band I've ever had.
Yeah.
I was like, so I'm really looking forward to that match.
To be honest, I'm just looking forward because. We were saying this as well. I probably know you as good, if not better, than most people I've called many matches for. I've called one hardcore match that you had in Ipswich. Then you had a 4-cornered clusterfuck tag match where you didn't do an awful lot in that. Then you were in the Rumble as well. Again, didn't do an awful lot in that as far as. So I still don't really know what you can do inside that ring. I know you can throw people through tables and you can do tag team stuff. But so this will actually be the first proper time. So, and this is the thing, to say how well we know each other based on how much of your action I've called, it's crazy, man. Like, but we spent so much time in cars, but I'm excited to see you
and
do your thing inside that ring.
And that's why I'm looking so forward to Hustle. I was looking forward to that tag match there at Wrestling League because this was going to be an opportunity that I've worked for, and I was really looking forward to that. Once again, you know what? I talked to Lord Gideon Gray about it yesterday, and I had a great wee heart-to-heart about it all with him. And he said, he's like, man, yeah, it sucks. He's like, you have every right to be annoyed.
Yeah, that's what I said as well. Like,
but he goes, keep going. He goes, off the top of my head, I've had 5 big opportunities that have been pulled last minute. He goes, like, you're gonna get there.
Yeah.
He goes,
keep
on working.
Fighting,
You're gonna get opportunities. It might get pulled again. Be annoyed, but don't be annoyed too long.
Yeah. Because you use that fire when you go out there to your next thing that you're pissed off that you didn't get to the first thing. But
and that's what I've done with
I'm going to use this to kind of,
and that's why we got so much heat out there.
Yeah.
And not all of it was just me. Obviously, there was Chris Klein as well. But that's what I mean. That I was able just to go out and rip Gio's per head off.
You flick that switch, you give that evil look, and all of a sudden,
well, I'm
running the opposite direction.
That's why I'm looking forward to my match with Huss because, like, honestly, I'm not really good with tag wrestling.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, but the psychology is so different from singles wrestling.
And we were saying this earlier when we were watching NXT that the tag matches are very formulaic and
it's trying to wrap my head around that.
And I think the match with Huss as well is he's now a face, but he doesn't do anything that a face would normally. So he's like he's like a very stone cold kind of. You cheer for him even though he's not necessarily doing good things that you would want to do yourself. So it's going to be a good match, I reckon.
This is certainly an opportunity that I've been working for, and I'm so looking forward to it. Not just because I like him as a person, but I do think we can tear the damn house down.
Hell yeah.
And the best thing is that, like, so out of the companies I've worked for, it's all been through word of mouth. So I'd been in England 2 weeks. I seen there was a low-key seminar in Essex. I had no idea where Essex was.
A long fucking way from Wolverhampton.
I was in Kent, man.
Yeah.
It took me 6.5 hours to get there.
Jeez.
That entire weekend cost me about 150, 200 quid. Because my own stupidity, I didn't get like a single from Kent to thing. I got like a single to my connection. And I bought like individual train tickets as I went along, and then I had to get a hotel because I had no way home. But I just seen low-key as training, and I was like, I have no idea what the hell that is, but I'm bloody going to it.
You've got to be there for a low-key
and that's where I met Mark, and he was like, man, I've got people that live 5 minutes around the corner that couldn't be asked. They couldn't be asked to turn up to it, and you've just drove 6.5 hours to get there. And I hadn't eaten food because I didn't have time to stop for food, and I didn't care. I just went in and give it hell. And I've been booked for every Wrestling League main show since. Yeah, because Sci-Fi I done an attack.
You jumped, that was good fun. I remember you saying like you bursted the
oh man, I burst out the curtain and all I heard was, oh my god, it's Alexander Hyde. And behind my distorted hockey mask, I was like, man, someone actually knows who the hell I am. This is the best moment in my life. And I turned around and I looked, I was like, oh, it's the commentators who know who I am. And I was like, man, that is gutting.
And I think we had the name written down on a bit of paper, so we just
to
be honest, I don't even know that was you. We just said the name that was written down, hoping that was who it was.
I was like, was it 1864 or something? Was the move you called yesterday for two completely different matches?
Because someone had whispered in his ear, he just went with it for everything. But I think that you then turned around and I could read that it was either your trunks or your t-shirt had Hyde.
T-shirt had Alexander Hyde.
He's the right guy.
But that's it. Everywhere I've got so far is by word of mouth. So Wrestling League, Fight Factory was with a seminar up with Bram, SEPW.
That guy
Sacrifice Pro was from that car journey to Wrestling League.
That was it. And
I've now become good friends with Brett Meadows, who's an absolute gentleman.
Yeah, I love Brett.
And I'd love, like,
it's good to see if he's listening. Actually, see if he messes with him. You fuckers putting me over.
I can smell you. That's a shout out to Brett. That's that being creepy, and that's also me. That's also me censoring it big time. Don't say it.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, with this match with us, it means I'll actually have footage that I'm able to send out.
Yes.
That I can contact other promotions and say, "Yo, I'd love to work
Still
for
hoping
you."
that other promoters will turn up to the show and they will see it and they'll be like, "Yes, I'm going to book this guy."
Well, that's it. I met a few at the last Sacrifice show, and there's been talk since.
Because actually, Simon at SWA. That's we were driving up to you, and there was signs for Telford and I'm like, wow, that's actually not too far from you.
Yeah,
so actually
it's only around the corner.
Yeah, that'd be a good place for you to kind of get your foot in the door as well.
Like when I think about it now, it's really overwhelming. Like the journey, like even if you take my journey from England, since moving to England, it's been crazy, but it's been fantastic, man. Like,
well, I always say the talking to Brett, talking to Lee. Talking to the promoters, they would much rather book somebody that they know is a good person, is going to be a positive influence and a positive energy in their locker room, over somebody that they know is shit hot in the ring, but is probably a bit of a dick and might cause problems. And I think that's the thing. If you put yourself over as being a nice guy, and I always say it, don't be a dick.
yeah,
Be a dick. As long as you're just not being a douchebag, people are going to want you around.
Well, that's it. Like
that's as simple as that.
You never really know what anyone's going through. Like I touched on the bullying, but I've had depression for as long as I can remember, which is about 9-10 years old, and you never really do know what anybody's going through. So it's like, what is the point in carrying on like that?
Yeah.
When you can try to make it better. Like I said, there without laughter's a day wasted. Why would I run them down, or why would I say whatever? Not that I have it in me, but say all these things instead. Well, I can make them laugh. We as wrestlers, and I think it's something Jim Carrey touched on briefly when he talked about his father. He said, we are blessed with this fantastic opportunity to make people forget about their problems. So when I go out there, Alexander Hyde does not have a damn problem in the world.
Yeah.
Kevin might have personal problems, financial problems, whatever the case. Oh, I just said my surname.
Oh no!
The one person that listens to this besides my mother is going to add me.
I'll bleep it out, and then no one will have a clue what we're saying.
Can you just put in Riley's interest music over the top of it?
Oh my mother! No, I'm just gonna do. I'm gonna put in Tim Lee's clown.
Yeah. But that's it. Like I can go out there. I can forget about whatever I'm dealing with in the real world, but fans can do the same thing. So they might work a crap job, but they're spending 10 quid, their hard-earned money, to see us perform, and in that 10 minutes, see if they're shouting at me like the old granny that swings at me at wrestling league.
Love the gilf.
Yeah, the granny I'd like to fight.
Yeah, fight is what the F stands for.
Yep. It's like they're at that moment in time, they're forgetting, oh my god, I can't afford the rent, I can't do this, I can't do that, what am I going to do about this thing? All they're thinking is, wow, I can't wait to see him get his head kicked in. We're getting the Iggy food nearly ready. But yeah, it's crazy. The best thing is, like, I've got to meet so many class people, like yourselves and Tej and Tim and stuff like that, or people like that rather. I'd just seen the food when I was talking. I just distracted
all of a sudden
me.
That's it right. So we'll see you later. This _is_Hyde, bye.
All one word. But yeah, like I've got to meet so many people that I call
because and I guess like what your mum was saying, there's so much more out there that if you hadn't left Omar, then you would have met these people, you would have done these things, you wouldn't have,
I wanted to wrestle in England, because if you look at the likes of Primate's only been wrestling like 2.5-3 years.
That's crazy.
He's fantastic, because he's had the opportunity to perform. You can train as much as you want behind the scenes, but when it gets to a point you're not doing shows, you're not growing, because what you do,
there's only so much you can learn.
You have to be out in front of a crowd. So I was like, right, I want to wrestle in England. We have 6 companies in Ireland. There's at least 50 in England, and I can also get.
There's at least 6 in Wolverhampton.
5 now. We can then get to Scotland and Wales by train. I'm like,
not
only can I make a living off it over here, like I can get to the level where I want to be at personally. So I was like, right, this has to be done. But like I say, I've got Tim, great mate. Brett is hilarious. Yeah. The Bromantics, Joel. Who, like, a lot of the guys up at Fight Club is absolutely fantastic. Not that it needs me putting them over in a podcast, but like, you see, even training wise, not even going to discuss how good the shows are. The training is fantastic. So not only are you training under Travis Banks, you're training with a lot of people who are so supportive.
Yeah.
So the guys like Omari, Millie McKenzie, Riley, LPL Phantasmo, Joel, who I can't remember what his work, Sean Custom, is his working name. But there's so many guys there. It's like, but they're all support. Aussie Open, they're all so supportive. Martin Zaki himself, it's not like they will push you and they will drive you in the right way.
Yeah.
Because they want to see you progress just as much as they want to progress. And it's being around those people, like, but we still have a laugh. The likes of Omari, Millie, myself, John, we felt like we all just have such a laugh. But at the same point, we bust our damn asses, and we get better each night because of it. But at the same point, it's so much fun. And like moving to England, where I was like, right, my love for wrestling's pretty much dead. If it's gonna come alive, it'll be now, and if it doesn't,
that's it.
Sweet.
But you tried it.
Yeah, I tried it. It made it work. It was just a short, fat kid from Armagh who wanted to do it, who was told he could never do it.
Can't see you being short, man.
Yeah, shortish.
How tall are people in Ireland?
Well, one of the fellas I trained under, Tron, is 7 foot.
Fuck.
Yeah, man, he makes me look like a normal-sized human.
Wow.
But yeah, it was one of those things where going from a place where I was like, I don't know if I'll love wrestling again. I don't know if I'll continue to want to do it and put myself through it. But I'll try, because I've loved it for so long. I was like, I'm going to at least try to love it again. Yeah. And if I don't, man, like sick, I'm going to go on to something else. I'm going to do other things. But like just being over here with so many great people.
Yeah.
And getting to hang out with different people and enjoy different people's company and, you know, train with such influential and positive people. It's not like, so if you've ever seen Omari wrestle,
I haven't.
He is very fluid.
Yeah.
Like he's so good. But he's very athletic. So like we'll do like different athletic drills, which ain't my forte. Like, and I say it to Trav every session, I'm like, bro, I am not good with flips. But it's not as if like for a long time other places they were made excuses like, oh, you're a bigger guy, you're never going to need to do that.
Yeah.
So I was never taught how to do that, which is a big disadvantage to me now. So I'm now in the position where I'm standing on the top, I'm kneeling on the top rope, and I have to flip onto my feet.
Yeah.
And I can't force myself to flip.
Yeah.
Because I let the fear sit for years.
That's what I was saying about my hesitation. Like, I would get halfway, panic, and I'd just land on my neck.
But that's it. It's not a case of like, it's not like, oh, you're a lot bigger than these guys that are doing it. It's like, do it, bro. You've got this.
Big guys can do it.
Yeah, it's a case of like, it's not like, oh my god, you should be able to do this. You've been training X, Y, Z. It's like, you've got this, man. You can do it. We know you can do it. Let's get it done.
Cool.
It's great.
Good place to be.
Yeah.
So where can people find you on social media if they want to book you? Because they should book you.
Subliminal messages.
Book. Hide.
See if I get an email from Big Joe Joyce. I just so Facebook, Twitter and Instagram is at @this_is_hide, and no, underscore is not spelt. Underscore
is the
symbol, little line
symbol underscore.
Yeah.
One word.
Or email address is alexanderhydebookings@gmail.com.
Easy peasy.
But yeah, this year, thankfully,
it's the year of the Hyde.
Yeah, I'll be getting around a lot more, which is fantastic.
Amen.
But should be good stuff, man.
It's been good. It's been good having you on, man.
Thank you very much.
Should we go and eat some chicken casserole?
Oh yeah,
it smells good, right?
It smells so good.
Yeah,
damn it, Kelly.
That's the Phantom's cooking skills. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you very much, pal. All the best.
Figure 4 Radio.
Oh, now, guys, I don't mean any disrespect to anyone I've had on previously, but I think that could be my favourite interview I've ever done. I mean, when I started doing these podcast interviews, I really wanted to be able to sit down with people, get to the hearts of what makes them tick, and hear some really inspiring stories. Have some really wholesome chats. And I don't know whether it's just a connection I've had with everyone up until now has been different, but sitting down, hearing Alexander Hyde talk about his stories, about where he's come from, his family, and it was all. I tell you, I had goosebumps at points. There was definitely some emotional moments. That was an absolute honor and a pleasure to have a horribly young man in Alexander Hyde on. He's taller than me, he's got a bigger beard than me, and yet he's like a decade younger. I have no idea what the fuck they have in the water over there. But Jesus, yeah. Keep wanting to say the K word, but Alexander Hyde, thank you very much for joining me this week. Yeah, genuine pleasure. Absolutely love hanging out with that guy. So folks, if you don't already, give us a like on Facebook. Head over to facebook.com/Figure4Radio. Do give us a like. I say we're approaching the 500 mark at time of recording. You never know, when we release this we could already be there, but if not, it's still something I really want to do. Head over there, click the like button. Let's get us to that 500 mark, and then we can kind of look to the future, maybe even push 6 or 7. How crazy would that be? You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram, which is both at Figure4 Radio. You can follow me on both as well now. I've got the old Instagrams up there. That's at F4R_Mastermind. We have our website, which is figure4radio.weebly.com. That's got a whole load of information on, links to all the podcasts and everything else we get up to. I forgot to say this the other week, but the YouTube channel, youtube.com/F4TV. Basically, if you enjoy the content you're hearing like this, and you've gone through our archives and you know you've kind of exhausted everything that you want to listen to, go onto YouTube. We have got our entire back catalogue. Basically, we've done so many of these right now that our provider cannot fit them all on, basically. So we take every week when we release new ones like this one, we take off an old one and we upload that to YouTube for you to listen for absolutely nothing. So do head over there. Do give the archives a listen. We have got so much on there. We've got interviews, we've got quizzes, we've got brands, warfares, we've got pay-per-view breakdowns. The other day I listened back to the 2016 Royal Rumble that we recorded live at MK11. That was the one where AJ Styles debuted, and I tell you what, the screams from me on that one were next level. But yeah, so do head over to YouTube and check us out. And if you are a wrestling promoter or a wrestler and you're interested in getting some commentary added to your stuff, do get in touch with myself, either on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the above. And as I say, we can have a little discussion. You can catch me at Sacrifice Pro Wrestling, at the Wrestling League, at DOA Wrestling, Exposure Wrestling Entertainment, Hope Wrestling and Hope Future. So many good promotions that are jumping on the Mastermind bandwagon, getting me in, and hopefully I'm doing them proud with the work that we're doing. Every single promotion is different in their own way, all kind of pushing their own separate types and brands of this art form that I absolutely love. So every single one is well worth checking out. We will be back next week with some more content, as we are every single Monday. But for now, I've been the Mastermind Ollie Spring. We'll see you next